Hello, and welcome to the Movie Universe. I'm your host, Movie Fan. Well, we finally come to the final chapter in our Disney's American Legends file, and that would be about The Brave Engineer. Now, this short's a true classic, and it's a very interesting one, too. Basically, the story goes that Casey Jones is trying to deliver the mail on time, and he's going through all kinds of obstacles. He has incidents where an area is flooded out and he's trying to basically rowing his train right through. He deals with bandits, a jerk blowing up the train track. He has a moment where the train is falling apart. And there's even a moment where a damsel in distress is tied on the tracks by a cliche villain and he saves her. Classic. And of course, he crashes into two trains. And it seems like all is lost. No, Casey Jones, he didn't make it. But he made it. Barely. It's a good short, definitely worth watching, especially because of the music involved. It's really the action that's doing all the talking. But you do hear a lot of jibber jabber going on from Jerry Canola, who I think a lot of people would remember for his quirky little voice. He's pretty much the narrator, the voice to Casey Jones, and a few other little random characters. Just a few, to be precise. And I really mean a few because literally he uses that same voice the whole time. So now, the interesting thing about this story is the fact that Casey was a real person. And in fact, he actually does have a pretty good lineage to his name for being very devoted to his job and to actually get things done on time. And believe it or not, some of the things you see there did actually happen. Now, obviously, the flooding, no, of course not. And him taking on bandits, no. That pretty much was gone by the time he was in service. But believe it or not, the incident with the girl on the tracks, that really did happen. But not in that way. What really happened was there was a little girl crossing the tracks and she froze in fear. Casey saw she was on there and he slowed down the train just enough where he got right onto the cow catcher and scooped her up just like he did in this short. We can obviously exclude the part about being tied to the tracks and the cliche villain from the time. But that's interesting that such a thing did actually occur. And more importantly, the scene where he runs into two trains head on, that did happen. In fact, that's how Casey died. He ran into those trains because he got careless. However, he knew he wouldn't be able to stop the train. He tried to slow it down as best he could. And that's the big thing I think that makes Casey so memorable, at least back then. Because thanks to his heroic effort to try to slow down the train as much as he could, he saved a lot of lives. In fact, he was the only one who was killed. So he was credited as a hero, even though technically he did cause it. But it could have been worse if it wasn't for him. It's a great short, and it definitely serves as a small inspiration. Even though most of this stuff you could take with a grain of salt, it gives an image of a man who's very dedicated to his job. So definitely inspirational indeed. Oh, and here's a little fact for you. Casey Jones was part of the inspiration for the train Casey Jr. in the legendary movie Dumbo. Well, that's the end of Disney's American Legends, folks. I hope you enjoyed the videos because I certainly enjoyed making them. However, we're not exactly quite done yet because I'm going to give everybody a little bonus. Because next week, I'm going to be talking about the short that for some reason never made it into the story, and that would be Pecos Bill. So tune in next week, and I'll tell you all about it. This is Movie Fan, signing off.